Hello everyone, Code on Byte here, and welcome to episode 4 of my Minecraft Let's Play. As promised in the last episode, in this episode we will be starting our first project. But first, there are a couple, I've been pretty busy since last episode, and there's some things that I'd like to show you that I've gotten done. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, here we are over at the farm, and look at those orange things on the ground. That's right guys, I found pumpkins. I was doing a little exploring, and I was just riding a boat around the swamp, and I found an area that actually leads to the ocean. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So I may not live right on a beach, but it's close enough. And yeah, there happened to be a little extreme hills biome, and right on the edge of the hill were some pumpkins. I guess occasionally pumpkins do generate in certain biomes. So I just put them on the crafting grid, turned them into pumpkin seeds, just like that, and then planted them. And yeah. So yeah. And then of course I crafted them into, oops, accidentally knocked out that stem. We'll have to replant it. But yeah, so then you can take your pumpkins and just put a torch under them there, and you get jack-o'-lanterns. And the weird thing is that they're actually brighter than torches. Like, they emit more light, yet it's a jack-o'-lantern, so you'd think that the light it's emitting would be coming from a torch, yet somehow, yeah. So it doesn't make, well, it makes perfect sense in Minecraft logic. So yeah. And as you can see, I've expanded the wheat farms. Now I've finally found enough wheat to fill all of these. Tree farms, of course, doing well. And yeah. And yeah, let's see, what did I want to show you guys next? Oh yeah. No, I already showed you the potatoes last episode. Oh right, I remember. I'll see you guys in a minute. Alright guys, so as I said, I did some exploring, and look at what we have here. That is not a structure that I built. It's a generated structure, and yep, we got neighbors guys. We've got some neighbors. Mrs. Gulch is living next door to us, so if we ever get a dog, we better be careful with it. We'll have to deal with Mrs. Gulch later. And for those of you who don't get the reference and don't know what that is a witch hut. Occasionally witches spawn in there, and they attack by throwing potions. Now I've been lucky and I haven't run into any yet, probably because it's not that dark in there. But yeah, so that's going to be useful later on, because witches drop redstone and glowstone dust when they die. So yeah, we'll have to set up a little witch farm. And of course the geniuses on JL 20 some random numbers and all his buddies have of course been working hard figuring out how to farm witches. And speaking of which, well, actually not speaking of which, but yeah, found another skeleton dungeon right here. And this one's even closer, so yeah, I think I hit the bullseye when I decided to live on the swamp. You know, and I'm kind of glad. I mean, at first I was a little hesitant. I really had kind of had my heart set on a jungle beach, but this is turning out to be pretty cool. Alright guys, here we are in the desert. You may recognize this place. We came through here when we first arrived here. And if you go a little further this way, you'll find the village that we found. And we are ready to start making our village breeder. As you can see, I've put a fence around the entire area and spammed torches everywhere, so we won't have any hostile mobs spawning within here to bother us. So I've already made a 10 by 10 platform on the ground right here with our new jack-o'-lanterns, of course. And yeah, the villagers are going to be breeding on this platform. There's going to be walls that go around it. But for villagers to breed, you have to have a village. So yeah, let's build one. For reasons I will explain later. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to be building the village 9 blocks above the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. See you guys in a second. Alright guys, so I finished the platform and I added these support beams just to make it look good. So now we have to turn the platform into a village. Before we start, I thought this would be a good time to talk about what a village is. And before we can really understand that, we have to know what a house is. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but basically a house is a wooden door. It has to be a wooden door, can't be an iron one, that has more of a roof over one side of it than the other. Because if you think about it, I mean, a good way to remember it is to remember that the villagers have to know which side of the door is the inside. And so with this roof here, the game is able to tell that, oh, this is the inside. Because villagers, if you were to watch a naturally spawned village for a while, or even one that you built with villagers, the villagers' behavior changes depending on certain circumstances, and they'll be going inside and outside their houses. For example, when it becomes night, they'll go inside, and they always go inside. And if it's raining, or snowing, or thundering or something, then they'll go inside as well. But if it's otherwise, then they'll sometimes come outside. And so the game has to have a way of figuring out, okay, which side of the door is inside and which side is outside, so that the villager knows where to go. Because they want to give somewhat, well, I'm not going to say realistic because, you know, it's Minecraft, but alright, I'll say reasonable, not realistic, but reasonable. The Mojang wants the villagers to have reasonable behavior. I'm just making these ladders so that I can get back up there. So, and to do that, the villagers have to know which side of the door is inside and which side is outside. So, to make a village, we have to make a whole bunch of wooden doors, and we have to put more of a roof over one side than over the other. And if you really want to know all of the specifics about how the game determines what are houses and what aren't, I'll leave a link, oh crap, I didn't mean to do that, to a forum post that will tell you everything you wanted to know, and probably a bunch of stuff that you didn't want to know, about what is a house, about what villagers are, how villagers behave when iron golems spawn. And yeah, so let's see, we're gonna put the doors. Alright guys, so as you can see, I've added a bunch of doors up there and put a nice little roof over the top. So now, if we were to put villagers in here, this would count as a village. And because it counts as a village, the villagers would breed with each other. Until there got to be about 10 villagers here. Because villagers will only breed with each other if the population of the village that they're in is below the population cap. And the population cap is simply the number of houses divided by 3. I know, it seems kind of weird. I mean, each villager needs 3 houses. You'd think it'd be kind of the other way around, like you'd have a family of 3 living in a house. But considering that each house is about 1 square meter in size and 2 meters tall, I guess that's kind of reasonable. But yeah, so if we put a couple villagers up there, they breed until there is 10. And then they'd stop. And if we wanted more villagers, like let's say we wanted 100 villagers, we need to have 300 doors up there. And that's not cool. But luckily, there is a little exploit that we can abuse to get villagers to keep breeding forever. A villager will only be counted towards the population cap if it's within the boundaries of the village. And again, if you're interested in what exactly the boundaries of a village are, well, you can check out that forum post that I'm going to link because I don't want to get into too much technical detail in these Let's Plays, just to keep them from getting too boring. But yeah, if you're interested, seriously, check out that post. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so if a villager is not inside the limits of the village, it will not be counted towards the population cap. And we can abuse this because the limits of the village extend pretty far in the X and Z directions, but they don't go very far at all in the Y direction. So if you go just like a few blocks below the level of the platform up there, you'll be outside the village limits pretty quickly. Like, I believe it's 5 blocks exactly. 5 blocks. If you go down 5 blocks from there, you'll be outside the village, and any villagers at 5 blocks or below the level of that platform will not be counted towards the population cap. However, villagers are also able to detect houses and other villagers at a longer range. So the gist of what we're going to have here is we won't put 2 villagers up there. We'll put 2 villagers in here, in this cell here. And we'll have 1 villager up there that's inside the city limits. And because there's only 1 villager inside the city limits, whenever the game checks to see if the population cap has been reached, it will see, oh, this village can support 10 villagers, but there's only 1 villager in there. However, while the villagers that are in here, in this holding chamber, will not count towards the population cap, they will still be able to see the villager up there. Well, I should say detect, since obviously they can't see it because the blocks are opaque, but they'll be able to detect that there's a villager up there, and they'll know that there's enough houses up there. And so then when they ask the game, is there enough room for us to breed? Is there enough room for us to breed? The game will check a little cube up that encases that village and only goes a few blocks above and below the level of the platform, and it'll say, oh, there's only 1 villager here, and it will completely ignore all the villagers we have in here, and so they will keep breeding forever. They'll look up at that villager that is with the village, and they'll want to breed with it, and they'll go into love mode. And when 2 villagers are in love mode near each other, they do what villagers in love mode do, and then a baby villager pops out. And I kind of want to keep this PG, so I'm not going to go into details, but you know what I mean. So yeah, then they'll breed forever. Alrighty, so we could, at this point, move on to the next step, which is transporting the villagers all the way over from the village we discovered, putting 2 in the lower cell, and then 1 up here with these doors, and then the 2 that are down there would start breeding. However, the problem is that if we left it unattended for a while, we could come back and find 1,000 villagers in here, which would crash the game. So I really like to be able to turn on and off the breeding, because even after I build the iron golem farm, being able to produce villagers will be useful because you can trade with them. There's some villagers who, if you give them emeralds, they'll give you something like a diamond pickaxe, and you can get emeralds by giving other villagers certain easily farmed materials, such as wheat, or wool, or beef, or pork, or something like that. So having being able to produce villagers on the fly is definitely going to be helpful to us, even after this whole iron golem farm project. So I'd like to be able to turn this thing on and off. Now, in all my other worlds, I was much too impatient to incorporate a method of stopping the breeding and turning it back on again. And what I just did is I'd come up and knock out all these doors, like this. I mean, that works if you're really in a hurry to get the iron golem farm running. That works, but it's kind of a pain, and as I said, it's really beneficial to be able to produce villagers on the fly later on. So I think it's going to be worth it for us to take the time to make this into a really nice villager factory. So the way you turn off the breeding is you move the villager that's up here outside the city limits. And as I've said, the city limits are much shorter up and down than they are horizontally. So if we just have to create a little system that will, at the flick of a switch or the push of a button, move the villager at least 5 blocks below the surface of this platform. If we do that, and then we, of course, to turn it back on easily, we need to have a way of bringing the villager back up. So, yeah, let's get this started. So, before this episode, I have a special world that I use to try out things that I'm thinking of building in my survival world. And I played around with designs, and I came up with a way of doing what I just described, moving the villager up and down enough levels to turn the breeding on and off. And we'll call the villager up here the decoy villager, because that's really what it is. It's a decoy. It's tricking the villagers down there into breeding. So I've picked up 2 buckets of water, and because we're going to need water. So, I haven't shown you guys how to do an infinite breeding cell yet. Not infinite, I mean an infinite water source. Got infinite breeding cell and infinite water source mixed up there. So you basically just dig a square like this in the ground, and then you put the water in it like that. And if you were to take any of these blocks of water, it will be refilled instantly, like you just saw. Very useful, so I don't have to keep running over to the edge of the water. So let's see. How do we do this? So we're going to have the villager sitting up here like this. Let's go ahead and knock this out here. Should have probably done this before I put the roof on, but I did want to show you guys. I did sort of want to talk about things as I was doing the project. Alright, so we need to have we're going to make a trap door, which you make like this. And the villager will stand on the trap door when it is closed, and then when we want to stop the breeding, we simply open the trap door, and the villager will fall down there and be more than 5 blocks below the surface of this platform, and therefore breeding shall cease. And then, so yeah, then the villager will be down there. It's cool enough. And of course we gotta make sure the villager stays in there, because we do not want the villager wandering off. So we'll just build this little cage around him like this. And I'm going to leave it open here on this side here, and I'll explain later why that is. Actually, I'll explain momentarily. So yeah, I'm a villager. I'm standing here. I'm trapped because it's 2 blocks high, and unlike players, villagers cannot destroy blocks by punching them. So yeah, if I open the trap door, fall through. Now, I'm not in the village anymore, so the villagers in here will not see a villager that's by open houses, and will not try to breed with them. Because, yeah. So, yeah. However, now that the villager is down here, we obviously have to contain it, and we have to make a way of bringing the villager back up. So we'll do that like this. Make a little cage to contain them with this glass, and I'm using glass just because I want to be able to see the villager, just so that if there's any problems I know about it. Alright, so the villager will be here. And I'm going to make these walls only 1 high for now, but they will of course have to be at least 2 high to keep the villager from just jumping out. And let's see, it needs to... Yeah, I think it has to go over here. Yep, that's right. Alright. So, yeah. Alright. Alright. So we're going to eventually have a water elevator here, which basically operates on the principle that mobs do not want to die. They don't want to drown, so whenever a mob is in water, it will always try to swim up. If you want to simulate how a mob will behave in a system of water streams you have, simply hold down the space bar and you'll get a pretty good idea of what's going to happen when mobs get in there. So yeah, if we have a column of water in this tube, the villager will swim up it, and thus we can transport mobs upward pretty easily. However, you have to have solid source blocks at every step of the way. You can't just put a source block way up here and let it stream down. I mean, I'm able to swim up it, and you'd be able to swim up it, but keep in mind, you have to remember in Minecraft, you're superhuman, alright? You're a superhero. Well, whether you're a hero or not is another thing, but you're super, okay? Everything else is kind of lame. Zombies, skeletons, creepers, and spiders, they can neither run as fast as you, nor swim as powerfully as you can. They cannot fight currents. If I put some water down right here, see, I can move against the current. It's going kind of slow, but I'm able to swim against the current. A zombie, skeleton, creeper, spider, villager, cow, sheep, or pig, anything like that, would not be able to. They could slow down the rate at which current was pushing them, but they would not be able to swim against it. And likewise, they can't swim up water that's flowing down. So a mob that's caught in the situation I'm in now would drown, whereas I'm able to swim up because players are much more physically fit than mobs. I guess that's I guess you can take comfort in that the next time you feel intimidated by all the monsters that want to snack on your brains. Just remember that. Think of all the complaints that they'd have if they could complain. And this Enderman that keeps teleporting around is seriously driving me nuts. Oh yeah, if you ever piss off an Enderman and it's about to bash your brains out, just dump a bucket of water on it and that'll hurt it and make it teleport away and leave you alone. Alright, let's see. What were we doing? Wow, I'm getting sidetracked. So we're going to have a water stream. So we're going to have a water elevator here. And when the villager lands here, when they drop down through here, we'll have a water stream that will push them into the water elevator. However, we don't want them to go into the water elevator right away. Because if we just had it open like this, they just keep going up and down, up and down, up and down, and we wouldn't be able to set the breeding to either on or off and have it stay there. So we need to have a way, similar to the trapdoor, we need to have some sort of way of keeping the villager from swimming over there before we're ready. And you've already seen this device that I'm about to make, but it's going to be a fence gate. Fence gate's actually perfect for this project. So yeah. Alright. So we'll just put the fence gate in here like this. And then when the villager is down here, if we want to send them back up, turn on the breeding, we'll simply open the fence gate. They'll get pushed over into the water elevator, and they'll swim back up to the top, so that the breeding can keep going on. And of course, got to take that out. Ah, let me out. All right. Alright, so I've already said that this is going to be a water elevator, but we need to have a way that this water elevator is going to transport the villagers over to this hatch, which will, by default, be closed, so that when we send the villager back up, it positions itself in a manner such that we can then easily send it back down when we want to turn off the breeding. Alright, so we will do that by having the water elevator come up here over the roof. And then we'll have another water stream here that will push the villager over here. Okay, so with all this stuff that we need to do, I think it's time that I show you the most magical block in Minecraft. No, it's not the enchantment table. I'm talking about the sign. That's right, the sign. Like the thing that you just write stuff on. It actually has incredible powers in Minecraft. And now you can stack them up to 16 in the inventory. Back in the day, you could only store... Yeah, each sign took up a single inventory slot. Oh, hi, Mr. Zombie. There's gonna be tasty villagers in here soon, and you're not gonna have any. You're gonna see them, and you're gonna want them, and you're not gonna have them. Okay, enough fooling around. Alright. So here's what's magical about the sign. The sign is a block that has no collisions with mobs whatsoever. Yet water can't pass through it. See? Sign's not blocking me at all. I'm able to stand right where the sign is, yet the water seems to think that it's a whole block, and therefore it stops moving right there. Note that an open fence gate also behaves that way. So if we put some... Now we can put some a water block right here. It doesn't try to flow down and then flow back against this current. So we have this water stream that will push the villager, and then the villager's head will be pushed into this block of water. And because it's a mob, it's going to try and swim up so that it doesn't drown and be taken up. So now we could fill the fill this column all up with water source blocks. But I find it easier if you separate them with signs, because you can only carry, I mean, buckets of water don't stack, but signs do, so we can cut down on the number of trips we'll have to make back to our infinite water source. Of course, we could also just do that by taking more, bringing more buckets, but I'm cheap. Oh, derp, I made an infinite water source over here. See, there we go. And I'm going to finish up this water elevator off camera. Alright guys, so as you can see, I finished the water elevator, and now all we have to do is put a water stream in here so that the water will push the villager over and they'll fall into our little hole, and they'll just stay there until we open the hatch. Now to keep the water stream from flowing down on top of them like that, we just put a sign right there. Now the villager will be pushed into the hole, which when the hatch is closed, which it will be, they will stay there. Then when we want to send them down, simply open the hatch, and down they go. And this gate will of course be closed, and so they'll stay down here until we're ready to send them up. At which point we'll open this gate momentarily, then the villager will be pushed into the water elevator and swim up, and the cycle can repeat again and again. Now, you may have noticed a problem here. The problem is, if there's going to be blocks sealing off that thing, which there are, and there's going to be blocks sealing this off here, how do you open this gate, and how do you open and close the hatch and do the same thing with the gate? Well, here, I'll show you. I think it's time we started our first redstone stuff. So, yeah, we need a button, which you make simply by putting a block of stone on the crafting table, and it has to be the smooth stone, can't be cobblestone. So now you have a button. Now you may not have known this, but things like doors and fence gates are actually what are known as redstone components. And a redstone component is a device that will react to redstone, to blocks next to it receiving redstone power. What is redstone power? Well, no one really knows, but when you push this button, for 1 second, this block of stone brick here will become powered. And while the block is powered, the gate is open. And then once the block loses power again, then the gate closes. So things like fence gates and doors and trap doors always will always assume the state of power that they have. If any block next to them is powered, then the gate or trap door or whatever will be open. But if no block next to them is powered, then they will be closed. So when I push this button, the block here is powered for 1 second. And while it is powered, trapdoor is open. And then once it stops being powered, trapdoor closes. The full tutorial on Redstone is beyond the scope of this Let's Play. If you're interested in really learning about it, I mean, the best way to learn about Redstone is to just play around with it. I mean, you just kind of have to use it to get a feel for how it works. Alright, so I think that does it. Of course we're going to put a roof over this, but we'll leave it open now since we have to put the villager in it. So yeah, let's just hop in it. We'll pretend to be a villager and see how it works. So I'm a villager, go in here. Trapdoor is open. And then it will of course close automatically, and then I wait down here. The breeding is now turned off. Then when we want to turn it on, we open the gate momentarily, and of course the button would automatically close it. And then I go up here, get pushed over here. Now I'm up here inside the village. The other villagers will see me, they'll get horny, and there'll be more of them. Of course we still have to be careful to remember to turn it off, but at least it's now easy to turn it off. Alright guys, we are unfortunately out of time for this episode. I do want to keep the episodes from being too redonkulously long, just because I think some people find it difficult to watch like an hour-long episode. I had originally intended to completely finish this breeding cell in this one episode. I had intended to, put the villagers in it, but it went a little longer than I thought. So I guess we'll have to do that next episode. So yeah, next episode we'll be moving the villagers over to their new home, and then the episode after that I think we'll do some caving for the first time. If you are interested in the specifics of how villagers, villages, villager breeding, etc., how all that works, I have left a link in the description to a very good forum post that will tell you everything you ever wanted to know about villagers and villages. I highly recommend it if you're curious and want to experiment with them on your own. If you would like to build an iron golem farm for your world, I will leave a link in the description to an iron golem farm tutorial. It's a very good one. It's by a guy named DocM77. Very good at making tutorials, and the design that he makes the tutorial for is far and away the best iron golem farm design out there. I do not recommend you use any other iron golem farm design. This one is just head and shoulders above all the others. So yeah, if you enjoyed this episode, feel free to leave a like rating. I'm sure you've heard this from every YouTuber ever, but it does help. I think it makes the YouTube videos show up more often in search results, so that would obviously help me get more views. If you have any constructive or destructive criticism, that'd be welcome. Or if you'd just like to say hi or whatever, that'd also be welcome. And if you'd like to maybe play Minecraft with me sometime, just shoot me a message. Alright guys, next time, we're moving the villagers. Peace out.